Conrad, the old timer here. Are you struggling financially? I'm offering a new program that will allow or make it possible for all to live. Here are some facts on why a different approach has to be made, because all you have to do is look around you and see the terrible the United States is sinking down into. Here are some facts. In January 2024, there were approximately 700,000 homeless people in the United States. They say that Sunset Drive in Los Angeles is just a wasteland that covered with trash and homeless people. 12 million children in households with unstable incomes are living there. At least 12 million people, children, are living in financially unstable households where it's really uncertain from one month to the next on whether or not the rent's going to be paid. There's about 6 million people over the age of 65 that are living in poverty, many actually getting by with some low quality food from some charitable organization. Many older people are living alone and suffering because they have no way to pay to have some kind of service that'll help take care of them, since they can't take care of themselves. There's millions of workers caught in the wage slavery trap, where it's 1 week after another, one paycheck after another, and that paycheck eaten up in many instances before the next one comes along. And there's no hope of getting out because there's absolutely no spare money between the absolute necessities that they have to have and being able to save money or whatever so that they can eventually escape. That's the slave labor trap that so many are caught in. There's millions of people in the United States either with no health insurance or insufficient health insurance, and many put off or delay even going to the hospital or to a doctor when they're really sick because they simply can't afford it. That's another reason a new approach has to be made. And here is where all the trap begins, is because the system that keeps 50 or 60% of the population of the United States in some kind of near financial distress starts with poor education. Kids live in low-income areas, go to poor quality schools, and even if they try to be good students and graduate from high school, for example, the education they got really prepares them for nothing. And of course, they don't have any skills because most of them have never worked. And there they are, stuck with trying to find some kind of minimum wage job, a job that doesn't even come near to provide them with a monthly living experience. That's another reason that we have to find a different way to spread the wealth in the United States so that all can live. Now, uncontrolled capitalism is destroying the lives of millions through the financial system that we are subjected to. First of all, corporations, in many instances, they don't care what they produce, just something that they can put on the market and sell. And many of them take part in what is called the planned obsolescence way of producing things. That's the way things are made, and they actually don't last long enough for the person maybe that bought them on a credit card even has been able to pay that debt on the credit card off. And not only is that causing people who overspend and not frugal, even people who actually buy things they need still get in that trap. But another thing that creates is the trash mountains that are around our cities. And those trash mountains are resources, natural resources that are being used up by corporations that they don't care, just so they make profit, more and more money. Maybe even these corporations own that resource, but that doesn't matter because the generation now is the only generation that matters. Hopefully there'll be generation after generation of us, but the way we're going, things have to be changed, and one of those changes has to be know what we're doing with our natural resources and use them where they can be spread out or saved or made possible for the generations that come after us. Now, this unregulated, or basically unregulated, financial system that we are all caught up in, mostly the 50 or 60% of the people who are on or near the monthly by monthly or paycheck by paycheck way of living. Everything, let me explain a little bit about the financial system. First, I'll talk about credit cards. Now, financial institutions, in many cases some kind of bank, if you apply for a credit card, usually it's a bank that issues you that credit card. Remember what it's called? A credit card. They don't loan you money. They, in their records, the only expense they have is whatever maybe one employee does in setting up an account for you and ordering a card be made in your name. And then it arrives, a credit card. And usually, if you're in the lower income brackets of workers, that credit card has terrible conditions. All kind of yearly expenses, one-time payments, and all that. Now, all those that if they say, oh, they give you $500 credit, but off the top, there has to be a payment out of that $500 of say $75. So that decreases your credit. They're allowing you to $425. Then they usually have a yearly fee, and that I've heard of them having $175 on credit cards charged every year against your account. Now, then if you buy something, if you use something on that credit card, then say you use it for the first time, and your credit has been reduced by those fees that I just talked about, and you buy something. Say you buy a TV, and you get involved then in that planned obsolescence program, because I don't know from personal experience, but I've heard that these new TVs, you buy one, say you use that credit card, and you're paying on it along with those fees every month, but say 2 years, only once that TV doesn't work anymore, but you still owe the money, it's still on your credit, and you along with your other expenses, you begin to make just a minimum payment. And then when you make that minimum payment, you end up not paying on the principal and not even paying the monthly interest. So then before the next payment, they add on top of that payment and interest compound interest. So the next month you pay on the TV, and then you pay on the original interest, and then you pay that compound interest on top of that. That puts you further and further in debt, and you end up owing much, much more money for that TV, which only lasted two years. That's an explanation of the kind of economic situation that people that are not of the classes where they have guaranteed yearly income, they know where their money comes from, and so forth. That's the kind of thing. Plus, another situation, a lot of people, they have a car. Oh, I got to have a new car. They're already making high payments as they can make on the one they got, still owe money. But they go down, and maybe they have credit enough for some kind of collateral, and the dealer gives them another car. So then they drive out thinking they look better and whatever, other people are envying them. But when the monthly payment comes, wow, that new car costs them thousands of dollars more than it would have if they had the car they had been paid off, because all that's added to it. Plus, usually when they catch the car dealer catches a customer in like that, they load it up with all kinds of things, and that bears the average person. There goes another big chunk of your weekly and so forth income. And if you even if you're a fairly good wage earner, it doesn't take much, and the financial system of the United States has buried you. Now, let me see. It's just like a boy fishing. The credit card company, they lowers that bait down to you, and you grab it and pull it, and then you get caught in that payment after payment, month after month, on the interest that I just explained to you. That's the situation that we are being used by the financial institution. Let me tell you, the bankers, there's a whole history how banking began. Banking is absolutely nothing but a ripoff. Now, they say, oh, it makes funds available for industry to grow and whatever. But I don't know if you know anything about banking, but commercial banks in the United States, they create our money. The government doesn't. The Federal Reserve might create a little bit by writing a check to the Treasury, and then, but other than that, commercial banks make all our money. You go in and you borrow $1,000, and they don't give you usually the $1,000. They deposit in your account, and what they deposit, there's no record of any. If they give you real money, there's absolutely no record where in banks where that cash they had on hand was actually transferred and deposited in your account. It just was on paper. And when you borrowed that $1,000, they open that book up, and on one side they say that you borrowed $1,000. On the other side, they say that they loaned you $1,000 when they virtually didn't loan you nothing. When you begin paying back, again, all you got was credit in most instances. And when you begin paying back, then you have to find what we call real money, the dollars and whatever here in the United States, which actually is not real money. It's called fiat money. But when you begin to pay that back, you have to work and whatever and find real money to pay back. So actually, what you're doing is you the one in the process that creates the money that goes back into the monetary system, first into the bank accounts of the banks. Now, there's another situation that I need to talk to you about that justifies a change that I'm going to offer. That's income inequality. Now today, the rich are getting richer and richer, and the working poor, or most working people, are getting poorer and poorer. And it's just out of hand. I believe I read somewhere where in today the distance between the income, say monthly or yearly, between most of the people in the society make hundreds of times less than those in the upper echelons. Now, this is the problem. We have the big corporations, and they have shareholders and so forth, and they have chief operating officers and other people high up in the management. Well, today it's not uncommon for a chief operating officer to make 15, 12, 15, even $20 million a year, where the average worker in the United States makes $900 a week. That's the average, because many of them make like $200 a week and $300 a week. So you can see there where the disparity is. That the situation, a new approach has to be made to change that. Now, here's my proposal, the plan of action that I'm proposing. I'm saying we need to create what's known as a big basic income guarantee. And I'm just going to use some figures that I came up with. But if, hopefully when we can get something of this to become law, whoever really sets up the proposal would decide the money value. But right now I'm saying, for example, that we create a fund to make basic income guarantee payment every month to people who make under, say, $75,000 a year net, and in that money we would add, to reach that 75,000, we'd add whatever income the person receiving it would already have per month, and then we'd add the difference, make the difference up to 75,000. That's my proposal. Now, we have to have some exceptions. First of all, there would have to be a regular or steady employment stipulation. In other words, anyone receiving this basic income, in my opinion, should work, and should be regular working hours. But I would make an exception for women that are pregnant, already have children to support, and whatever. I would make them an exception to have to be employed. And I'm setting up the employment stipulation. I would say that anyone between 18 and 50 years old has to be employed in some manner. Now, I would also exempt people who have mental or physical obstacles for them being regular employees, but we would have to have those people more or less checked to see, and have some kind of community program that if they were able to work some, to give them some kind of work in community programs. I would also say in that same community program, any regular worker that loses his job or becomes unemployed and looking for another job, he would have to immediately sign into that community program and do community work all the time he was unemployed, so that he could continue getting the basic income. In that case, of course, then since he was unemployed, he wouldn't have any other income, and would receive the full the full money that would make up to the 75,000 each year. And let's see, and kids over 18 that were out of high school, that was going to college or some kind of trade school or anything like that, any certified school, that all the time, every month or whatever, that they were in a school program, that they would receive the basic income, but they wouldn't have to meet the requirements, the employment uh, requirements. Now, there's the way to pay for that. First of all, in my opinion, we can't even look at the federal government because I think the federal government we already owes $30-some trillion, which and the money they're taking in won't even think about paying the interest on it now. That's the situation of the federal government. Of course, now we have people that supposedly are trying to eliminate the expenses of the federal government so as to lower that amount or keep it from increasing really, and be able to meet the obligations of the government. So I'm not looking for the federal government to pay this basic income. It's just like Social Security. Even people in the government, senators or representatives, are saying now, because of the administration we have going on now, some are even saying, "Oh, Social Security is a liability of the government," which it is not. The Social Security program is funded wholly by the worker himself. He pays half of the monthly or weekly, depending on when he gets paid, how often. He pays a certain amount that's taken out of his check each week, we'll say, and then whoever he works for, the company or individual or restaurant or whoever he works for, they pay the other half. No money that Social Security recipients receive come out of government funds. So I don't know why intelligent person in the government would even say that. So the reason I'm mentioning Social Security because what I'm suggesting is creating a program like that where the funds come from half or whatever it takes to fund the program of the yearly net income of every corporation or entity that receives income over $1 million a year. They would be, if they make over $1 million a year net profit, then the organization that sets this program up, they would look and have the Internal Revenue Service collect whatever percentage of their net profit that's deemed necessary to fully fund this program that I'm suggesting. In other words, it would be funded by the wealthy of the nation, really, and our government is so bought off that you can't raise the income tax or even their Social Security, the amount of money. Say some of those people make millions of dollars a year, but they only have Social Security taken out of their pay up to somewhere $164,000 a year. All the other profit, even no Social Security money is taken out of. Anyway, that's what I'm suggesting, that the system be set up where that's the money to fund the basic income for everyone making less than $75,000 a year, where that comes from. And that would put no liability on the federal government. It would only take away from those shareholders or those people who get the money, that profit from those organizations that their net income is more than $1 million a year. The shareholders of the corporations or any other entity, be it not a corporation, that's where the money would come from to fund that program. Now, here's the other thing that I would suggest, that we establish a National Association of Disadvantaged People and try to get people under that $75,000 a year income to join, because in our government is so under control of the wealthy that anything we try to do is a real struggle. In the U.S. Senate and House of Representatives, there's only a few members that actually ever try to do anything for the the people in the lower income brackets of our income situation in the United States. All the others, they don't care. Many representatives are from districts in states, and their district is full of poor people. Yet they don't even bother. They never even try to take part in creating a bill and having it become law that would help those poor people. That's a thing where we have to create that association of disadvantaged people and get them, thousands and thousands of them, calling their representatives in their district and their senators and demanding that they start working to get this program or some close facsimile of it made into law, so that we can eradicate poverty. We can lift little kids out of homeless situations, and we can have it where people can have health care problems. Take care of their health care problems, and have homes, and be able to live a decent life. That's what I'm interested in. And if you're interested in anything I'm saying, please subscribe, and if you will, like, and help me reach a wider audience. If you really care about what I'm saying, talk to your friends, or whatever way you can help me spread my message. My name is Conrad. Thank you very much.